Assalamualaikum. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Rabbi Shali Sadri, Wayassali Amri, Walalubdatam Milisani, Qali, Rabbi Zidni Ilma. Today we are going to talk about one topic that we have just introduced a bit earlier, that was cell referencing. I hope that you remember that cell referencing is in two forms. Either we have relative referencing or we have absolute referencing. Just a recap. What is relative referencing? Whenever you have written any formula in a cell and you are performing the copying and pasting operation, when you copy the cells down, then what happens is the cell references do change, and in reality, they should change. For example, if you have entered in cell B5, the formula equals to B2 plus B3, and this formula is representing two different cells, B2 and B3. Now, whenever you're performing the copy operation and you are copying the formula down, then the formula is supposed to change. It should not be referring to B2, B3 anymore. It should now be referring to B3 and B4. In this manner, the cells references do change whenever they are copied down. And that is called relative cell referencing. And it means that the values change when they are replicated. On the contrary, we do have another reference that is called absolute referencing. And in this absolute referencing, what happens is the cell references remain same whenever they're replicated, means they do not change. And how do we do it? Just by using a $sign, you can perform the operation that the cell references from the default relative referencing become absolute references, fine? So I'll demonstrate this today, inshallah. So in this manner, you will learn how can you convert the relative reference to an absolute reference, okay? Now you can see, if you have put the $sign with the reference, with the cell reference like B2 or B3 or whichever, then what you can see is if you're replicating it down, then now it will not be changing at all. It will remain same as it was earlier. In other words, you're fixing the reference. It is not going to be the same anymore. It will be something to handle differently. And we talk about such scenarios where we need to have the absolute references also. Okay, so are you clear with this concept of referencing? Yes or no? Okay, now I'll demonstrate this with the help of an example in Excel. Like if you remember, we have talked about Excel. So I'll talk about an example where you can see for yourself that how the references are taking place. Okay. Okay, here you can see I've opened Excel, and the very first example that I'm discussing at the moment is automatically generating a table. Here you can see the table is mentioned as table 3. And now I want that the table values are going to generate automatically. So what I'm doing is I'm starting my formula, as you can see, equals to, and then I say this location where let the reference, the cell reference, and then I'm using multiply, and then I say this, fine? So what is it? What am I trying to do is I'm actually multiplying the contents of A2 that contains the table number and the like number 1, 2, 3, 4, these are the numbers. If I press enter, and you can see now it is showing me the proper table. If I copy it down, if you remember, we have performed this copy operation by using the fill handle, you can see it is now showing me the result like this. As I told you just now, that whenever we copy the cells, the formula down, the formula is definitely going to change the references automatically. And it's doing accurately, like earlier if it was A2 into B4, so now it is showing A3 into B5. Now, if you move down, it's now going to show you A4 into B6. Now, similarly, this is showing you the right values, although this is not what you intended. What we are doing is we are now converting this reference from the normal relative referencing, the default one, to the absolute referencing. What am I doing is, since I want this value to remain same, as you can see, A2, that is your table, should remain same. So what I am doing is I am inserting a $sign before A or and definitely before 2 also. Okay, now shortcut, which I told right now. I'm simply pressing from my keyboard F4, function key F4, and you can see for yourself that the referencing has changed from the default the value to the use of the absolute reference. Can you see this? You can see now it has changed. Now the magic. If I copy it down, you can see now it is showing me the correct result. Isn't it strange? Isn't it really interesting? Yes? Okay, now let's see. A very good question, Ali, that you have asked. If, for example, I change the value, I say now I want the table maybe of 16. You can see it doing it automatically, isn't it? So this is the beauty that you can change from the normal referencing, that is the relative referencing, to absolute referencing, and we can use it in different scenarios. Scenario number 1, I hope that it's very much clear. Any questions before we proceed to the scenario number 2? One more scenario. Isn't it interesting? Do you want to apply it right now? Okay, very quickly do it. And I know that you remember the tricks of generating the series automatically. Yes? Okay, now please do it very quickly. Done. That's wonderful. It means that we can apply one more and you can see for yourself, and then I'll be needing your input also, isn't it? Are you ready? Okay, now Ahmed, you also want to do it? Okay, that's wonderful. You both have done it. Others will also learn, others will also try and do it, inshallah. So now let's move on to the next activity of the same relative referencing and absolute referencing, okay? Okay, now I hope that we all are now clear about this very simple, from this very simple example, that how can we convert the default relative reference to its absolute reference, and different scenarios also. Now, there's one more example, zakat percentage, just for the purpose of making you comprehend. A very simple example with some data I have taken. You can see there are some values for different account holders, like we have account number, account title, account balance, and zakat and remaining balance we want to compute. What are we doing? Like if I say I want to perform zakat, how much zakat is going to be deducted from the person's account? What are we doing is, we are applying the formula, starting with equals to, remember, we click here, account balance, and then I say multiply, multiply, and then if I say this value, which is 22.5%, and I press enter, you can see it's computing the zakat to be deducted from the person's account. Now, if I drag it down, you can see it's showing me this value, because now it is D7 into DA3, it is D8 into A4, D9 into A5, and then you can see for yourself, D9 into A5, and we have D10 into A6. Now, what happened? Actually, this is doing it correctly in reality, because we didn't change from the default one. What am I going to do? Which cell reference should be converted into the absolute reference? Do I need both to be converted? Yes, only A2. That's wonderful. So what will I do now? I'll press. That's great, Ahmed, that we are going to press the function key F4, and you can see the reference has changed automatically. Now, if, for example, you don't remember, no worries at all. Like maybe sometimes we do forget the function key. So no worries. You simply move your mouse pointer to the cell. You change the reference from the default relative reference to the absolute reference by using the $sign. You yourself type the $sign before the column name and before the row number. And in this manner, your reference will change from the default one. Now you can see it remains the same, but you can see for yourself now, if I copy this formula down, it will now be showing you the proper result, isn't it? Isn't it really interesting? You can see the moment you change any value, the beauty of your formulae is the moment you change any value, you can see for yourself that they are reflected here. Isn't it interesting? Okay, you want to work on remaining also. Okay, just giving you 2 minutes. A minute, not only 2 minutes, just a minute to think. How can you find out the remaining balance? By the way, again, remember the difference between formula and function? We are using our own formula exactly. We are using our own. And this is called a formula. We are not using any predefined functions. We are just making our own formula. Now you can see, how will I do it? Equals to this minus this. That's wonderful, Ali. You have told correctly. By the way, do I need, if I copied it down, should the reference be relative or should the reference be absolute? Yes, definitely it should be. It should be what? It should be relative. It should be different. Okay, now why these? Nobody's, because of the value being too big. That's why it's coming like this. Are you clear? Any issues? So you can see for yourself, this is how the formula is going to be applied. You can apply your own formula and you can have the task done. Any questions? You want to do it? Okay, that's wonderful. Please do it for practice. Jazakallah khairan kasira for being a part of the learning journey. If you liked my video, please subscribe my channel, share it with your friends and family so that they all are going to benefit from it. Allah Hafiz. Take very good care of yourselves and your family. Allah Hafiz once again.